Hey there, welcome to episode 208 of Fresh Air at 5. This week I talk about the perfect lesson. I talk about obstacles, leadership, and surrounding yourself with good people. I talk about fixing your face, as well as navigating language barriers in your classroom. So without further ado, hey, it's the week before spring break here. So this is a shorter episode because it's been busy and I've had a lot going on. So also it's been raining. So there we go. But anyhow, here's Fresh Air at 5, episode 208. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
I'm Anne, co-host of Transparency in Teaching, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwee First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video, which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey PLN, it's March 11, 2025. It's Fresh Air at 5. It's about 7 degrees Celsius and on the verge of raining. We've got a wet week here, but the temperatures are above zero and it's reasonably nice. It's getting close to spring break. I'm excited about that. We are 4 days out from spring break right now, and I've got plans to relax and do some things around the house and to be around, probably go fishing on the Fraser River. Looking forward to that as spring break happens. All right, this morning I listened to episode 185 of the EdTech Throwdown with Eric and Nick as they bring us the perfect lesson on how to teach your students about AI. Now, I'm going to say that because they put some thought into this. And is it the perfect lesson? No, but that's for, that's the click rate. Get the click rate up and search engine optimization and stuff. They talked about saying things like that. But being able to talk to your students effectively about AI and all the things. What is it? What are the benefits of it? What are the downsides of it? And what can it do for you in your education and in your learning? So, gents, this is fantastic to listen to. I'm going to give you full credit for some of the work that I'm going to put into this as I share this content further with colleagues and my students as I move forward. I got some ideas. I'm working using Common Sense Media's work about AI literacy and talking about that. But I like the idea of teachable machines. So I'm going to dig into that right now and see if I can incorporate that into my lesson even today. Why do we listen to podcasts? So we can share information with each other. What are you sharing with others? Eric and Nick, I know you guys are sharing a lot, but I'm asking my listeners, what are you sharing beyond consuming? All right, have a fabulous day. Happy day. Bye. Hey PLN, it's March 13, 2025 here for Fresh Air at 5. It is a soggy, wet day outside, so I stayed inside this morning. I was also up at 3 a.m., not being able to sleep, so I decided I'd listen to a podcast, sitting in my lazy boy chair, and took in episode 239 of Teaching Champions podcast with Brian Martin. And Brian, I want to say you're doing a fantastic job of keeping the fire going. You have got your other podcast called X Factor Level Up Your Mental Game. And that's a tri-weekly. You drop not tri-weekly. You drop 3 episodes a week. I don't know if that's tri-weekly. But you drop 3 episodes a week of encouragement and enthusiasm and leadership and coaching for athletes and coaches and teams. And I've been starting to listen to that. And you know what? As you said in episode 239 of Teaching Champions, where you took and combined 3 of your X Factor Level Up Your Mental Game episodes and stuck them together and then draw all that together at the end with a debrief. That's so fantastic. As not an athletic guy, but as a leader, I have found great value in thinking about the things that you are sharing. So, leaders, this episode of Teaching Champions is one way that you can take in some of the X Factor, but you should also go find X Factor Level Up Your Mental Game and listen to that regularly. So, as I reflect here on this one where you talk about obstacles, leadership, and surrounding yourself with good people, that's the name of this episode. I listened to 2 of those 3 episodes already, but putting them together, so good. You know, how do we talk about obstacles in our life? What do we do with that? About surrounding ourselves with good people, the impact that it takes to do something, and we can't be strong on our own. All right, take a listen. Thanks, Brian. Hope you're doing well. And hey, are you on Blue Sky, Brian? If you're on Blue Sky, connect with me there. I'm there. Okay, bye. The last thing for March 13, 2025, as I'm wrapping up my morning listening this morning, I listened to Suzanne Daly on Teach Happier, Season 5, Episode 27, as she brings us an episode called Fix Your Face. All right, Suzanne, that's a great wrap-up of all of the inspirational things that you said in this episode about body language, about presence, about nowness. And, you know, I had my one word for a couple of years ago was presence, and it was about being fully there and present so that I could engage the world around me and people and give them my full attention. I said that then, and you so eloquently bring it together with some inspirational quotes from some important coach-type people and your friend Jason. And, you know, I like the idea of fixing your face and wiping off whatever's distracting so that we can be fully engaged, looking the person in the eye and talking to them when we are with them. One of my practices is I walk around school and I meet with teachers and other educators and students even, is if I've got my cell phone in my hand, I take my cell phone, I place it face down on the desk nearby so that it's not away, but it's not looking at me so I'm not looking at the screen and noticing the notifications. Yes, making sure I don't pay attention to my Apple Watch and responding to it when it buzzes, that's important too. Yes, giving each other our full attention. All right, listen to this episode, Season 5, Episode 27 of Teach Happier. And I just listened to another diehard Bills fan, Brian Martin, on Teaching Champions. So I did not know that both of you were diehard Bills fans, but you are. All right, talk to you soon. Have a fabulous day. Bye. Hey, PLN, it's March 14, 2025. It's been 5 years and now a day today since the world shut down here in North America for COVID. You know, I blinked and it's over, but it was really long while it was going on, and we are all still feeling the pains of COVID and all the stuff that has happened. As we're going through our day today, just be mindful about that. You know, like think about where have we been, what did we go through, and how do we get to here today so that we're back to a sense of community and face-to-faceness and taking that not for granted. All right. This morning I listened to a bonus episode of the Easy Ed Tech podcast with Monica Burns, as she brings us an episode entitled Working with Multi-Language Learners in a Multilingual Classroom. Something like that. And it is a bonus episode that came out as she was partnered with Pocket Talk, a translation device company that is working in industry and education to provide a translation solution. It was interesting to hear how, we know this, but to be heard is like one of the most fundamental needs on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And to be heard and to be seen and to be, you yourself is so very important. And in this episode, Monica and Arturo Gerarda, the director of K-12 education for Pocket Talk, talks about, this need and how their device can support that. Check it out. You got a multi-language thing going on in your space. There's other tools, obviously, but this one is a device. It's very, very simple to use. And my question, is there an extension to that allows us to do this on our, cell phones and things like that, as opposed to having to get another device? All right, have a fabulous day. I got one more thing to say, and then it's the weekend. The last thing for March 14, 2025, it is the last day of school before spring break here in my district and in most of British Columbia. So we are getting a break for a couple weeks from being in our regular routines as students and teachers. I am looking forward to not going to school. I'm not doing anything particularly huge and special this year. Last year was Spring Q. Went to Palm Springs for that conference. Fantastic, lots of connections. This year, just staying here, staycation, and working on my boats and enjoying home with my daughters. My son's away for work right now up north, and my wife is heading to Mexico. So that is what I'm going to be doing, and thankful for the opportunity. All right, an update on Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost. It's almost the end of the day on the moon for Blue Ghost. They landed on March 2nd, and the moon day will be ending on March 16th, which is tomorrow. There's been a lot that's been going on. It's been really cool to watch this journey of a design problem. How do we get to the moon and support NASA in doing so? And it was, a cool journey. Spent time talking to my students about it. Go check out the Firefly Aerospace YouTube channel if you have not, and look at their weekly mission updates and how they talk about careers in aerospace and in science and STEM and the connection between the everyday stuff that you and I do to what's possible in the future. Okay, with that, I'm going to close this off. Happy Friday. Happy spring break. I'm going to do some recording. Might have one episode over the 2 weeks. We'll see how much physical activity I get, but we'll see as I do my learning. Okay, peace out. Bye.
I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day, Get some fresh air before the day is out and take care of yourself because you are worth it.